basic truth of the human condition, that everybody lies. The only variable is about what.
Russian composer Sergei Prokofiev premiered his seminal work, Peter and the Wolf, in Moscow in 1936. Each character was represented by a different section of the orchestra. Peter himself was given the entire string section and a jaunty, light-hearted melody. The bird was identified with a flute, the cat with a clarinet, the duck with an oboe, Peter's grandfather with a bassoon, the wolf with horns.
You look lonely.
The symphony centers on young Peter, a boy who faces down a relentless wolf, much to the dismay of his grandfather. The boy uses all his cunning to trap the beast, but it comes at a cost. It is a simple story of perceived good versus perceived evil.
I always knew you were special.
In Blade Runner 2049, the filmmakers draw clear parallels to Peter, using not only musical cues to reference it, but they use the characters themselves in the movie. Some are more obvious than others. With this in mind, let's look at how the story of Blade Runner 2049 unfolds to create a modern morality tale laced into a post-noir dystopia. As I stated before, it doesn't matter if Deckard is a replicant or not. Deckard became more or less human by the end of the first film. The audience learned along with Deckard discovering that where he came from was not important. What was important is what Deckard did. Deckard's enlightenment came from his realization that he was the villain of that story. He came to terms with it and just barely escaped with someone to share in the new paradise he was going to make, or as close to it as he could. He changed his nature. He discovered that his programming was lying to him. He could become more than the sum of his parts. We come to find out in Blade Runner 2049 that Deckard and Rachel's new paradise came with a great gift at a great cost. Rachel had a baby, Deckard's baby. The birth of this unique child is a miracle to the replicants. It is the greatest threat ever conceived for the remainder of humankind. I say remainder because it might be that humans are dying, and they know it. Contrast to Roy Batty in the first movie, it is now humans obsessed with more life for themselves. They rightfully suspect that the replicants will wipe out the humans, that the slaves will revolt to kill the slave masters. The birth of a child is also a birth for the replicant revolution. As with all revolutions, it begins with someone changing their mind, someone saying they're not going to take being a spoke in the wheel of oppression, someone who changes their nature. That is where Officer K comes in. The first thing we see Officer K-243.7 do is wake up, a precursor to the journey of his awakening. K is on the job of hunting down replicants and retiring them. K's purpose is simple: follow his baseline program, do the work, and wait for another assignment. When the remains of Rachel are discovered, K's first inkling of deviation from his program is when he mentions to Joshi that he has never retired something that was born, and to be born is to have a soul.